Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and someone who owns way too many plastic robots. It's too late. Random review is about to begin.
Since I'm going to be off for a convention this weekend, I thought I would use that time to play catch up a little bit, and we'll cover a few reviews while I am out. And one of the hottest ones to review right now is going to be a Voyager that came out way faster than anyone really expected to, and that is Legacy Jhiaxus, a character literally named after a slight against Marvel Comics. Jhiaxus, a message from the writers for canceling their book. But today we know him as a evolution-obsessed Generation 2 villain who in recent years has had mostly white and orange repaints of generic deluxe jets. But for the first time ever, we have gotten a proper rendition of the Jhiaxus from the Generation 2 comic books, and that is what we get to review today. Look at him. Look at this. Look at this flying space hot dog. Look at that. So, we have, naturally, a Cybertronian jet mode. It is not quite the spaceship mode he had in the comic books. His vehicle mode was rarely seen, but when it was much rounder than this, and fairly different, especially up here in this section. So, we do remember it's going to have to be retold into somebody else eventually. So, to come up with such a unique vehicle mode was probably going to hurt things in the long run. So I think this already has people buzzing about how they're going to end up reusing the mold. Me, I don't care. Let's enjoy the mold for what it is. And for what it is, I don't mind it. It is different than the normal Voyager-class jets and spaceships we get. The silhouette is close enough, and some of the most important details of it, like those bat-like wings, are present. And that's what concerns me the most. Also, you can see his head poking out from the inside of the canopy. Just amuses me. It is cast in a brilliant white plastic. Isn't white plastic like the most frightening thing these days? But it is painted over in a very nice, rather shiny yellow paint. And you can see little hits of silver painted in. I really like all that wire detailing poking through. That is a very Generation 2, very G2 art in the comics, if you never saw it. Really loved its wire detail going through everything. This like super mechanical look that a lot of things had. So cool to see it represented here. Got red on the nose cone, green on the wings. He is an exceptionally colorful boy. Appropriate for Generation 2, I would say. Now, I've armed him up already, so you can see where exactly you can mount things. You do have mounting points for other weapons here above the wing. Nothing under the wing, so don't expect a Starscream situation out of him. You also have one 5mm port here at the front under the nose cone, which you can use to mount one of his weapons. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. And then at the top, I've actually mounted his main gun backwards, with a little bit of an addition you might not have noticed, which is kind of replicating the sensor look that it had in the original G2 comic. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But there you go. If you want to see a nice clean version of the jet, there you go. It is nice and sleek. I do like it. If you so choose, those thrusters in the back, those do have 5mm ports, so you can actually plug some effect parts in for some booster rockets. And yeah, the one thing is, like, the underside does have these big chunky arms on the underside. Okay, look. The man is trying to force an entire species through an evolutionary stage. He doesn't have time to create a really nice jet mode, alright? Okay, so give him credit. You know, he's making do with what he's got. But honestly, with what he's got, I don't mind this at all. I think it looks close enough to how his original alt mode looked. And it does open up possibilities for what this mold could be in the future. I think it looks really, really good. So, transformation-wise, toy is also still pretty good. So, I'm going to go ahead and start undoing his arms from the underside. And then we'll unclip the wings. The wings on these long struts. And I don't really like long strut engineering. It always feels like a part where it might break or flex a little bit too much. But, it seems fine on here for now. Going to flip those little wings out. You can have them extended in the vehicle mode too, but they kind of get covered up, so it's not a whole lot of point to it. Separating all this gets a little bit tricky because these interfold with each other when you transform it into vehicle mode. So to undo it takes a little bit of wiggling to get everything out appropriately. Once you do, go ahead and flip that out, and then we'll go ahead and do the legs now. So in order to get those up, double hinge the leg forward like so, flip out the foot, come around to the other side. I'm going to rotate the tail in. That's going to create the inside of the leg, and close everything up again, and that's going to give you one leg. And then we will do it again on this side. So nothing too out there transformation wise yet. He doesn't have any real complicated transformation tricks. He just kind of is very efficient at what he's doing, which is almost thematic for Jhiaxus. Once that's done, rotate the waist around, and the lower half is now ready to go. Up top, I'm going to open up the chest like so. You notice that little red tab is actually the shoulder-mounted sensor that he's got in robot mode. Typically, that does not fold away completely. However, you can actually unplug the front of it and mount it to the back of his gun to create the sensor in the vehicle mode. Doing that will actually allow you to flip this completely out of the way and into the sculpted-in crevice that is there for it. Undocumented. Kind of weird. But with it properly transformed, you can go ahead and start folding this up. Once you do, fold the sensor down and then fold the nose cone in so everything has clearance. Once that's all the way around, go ahead and close the chest, fold the back out, and that will let you flip out the head. Bring that forward. Well, get the sensor out of the way, then bring it forward. Neck should tab in right to the front of the chest. 2 more tabs in the back to hold all that into place. And then go ahead and fold the wings up like so. To create a narrow silhouette on the back. Fold the wings like that down. Go into the arms. We're going to flip the hands out from their panels. Always nice when they actually have panels now to cover up the gaps. It seems like it's getting rarer and rarer. All right. Make sure all that's nice and snug. Come around to the front and then just finish off by putting his arms right in where they go. And to complete that look, we're going to need this little piece. That's going to plug right back in. And that's going to give us Jhiaxus in his robot mode. Like I said, nothing terribly revolutionary about his transformation. Jhiaxus is kind of pragmatic like that. He doesn't need to be fancy about it. He just gets the job done. I'm not against an efficient transformation. I tend to prefer them. He just doesn't have any flash to his transformation. He's just really good at transforming without having to get involved. So he's a nice transformation. Overall, robot in very good proportion. He has that bulk and that mass that I associate with Jhiaxus from the Generation 2 comics. He looks intimidating. He looks like he's got some power behind him. He definitely fits the profile of the comic book character, helped out by the retention of the wings on the back as well as the extra tiny little wings on the legs. I love that they include that detail. It is small, but it's kind of necessary for him. The yellow definitely dominates here. Could use a little bit more to break up the white, but it is accurate to the comic, so not really going to argue it. And then, yeah, that head and that red just comes out of nowhere. Let me adjust the focus, and we will take a look at said head. Oh, he's grumpy. Oh, he's so grumpy. He was not a happy boy. Jhiaxus was not really, pleasant to get along with. So here, yeah, that's actually pretty appropriate. Now that we have a nice close-up look, I do like the striping on the canopy. It's very different. It's unique to him. He has the G2 Decepticon logo stamped in on the chest. Very small, but it is there, and it is the correct one. And there is that sensor that I kept pointing out. Now you can actually get a good look at it. And yeah, it's very, very nice. Right off the bat, we're not even going to get into articulation just yet, but I'm going to say, yeah, I've heard reports that his head is exceptionally loose, and yeah, so is mine. Holds a position, but is very easy to knock around. Sculpting-wise, everything looks pretty good. There's not too much tech greebling going on to him, except for the legs, which is, of course, just his Generation 2 thing going on. What gets me is how clean he is. Look at him. Look at him all the way around. So, throughout all of this, you can't see anything hollow on him. You don't see anything hollowed out on his arms either. Like, really, like, I can go into the bicep. The bicep is, like, solid all the way around. The shoulder is all solid all the way around. And on the back, like, you can look over everywhere. He's rock solid. I have to, like, peek into between parts in order to find any kind of gaps going on. Even the forearms, even the legs. Like, he's a solid-looking figure. Now, he doesn't feel it. I get the feeling his part count is so small they got away with some extra engineering and some extra parts to him. Because he does feel like a very concise figure, engineering-wise. That said, that's not a bad thing, because, hey, he looks a lot better than a lot of figures have lately when it comes to just how solid all the components look. So, if we want to arm, well, let me get into articulation first, and then we'll talk about accessory, because he's got some that are pretty appropriate. So like we said, the head is ball jointed, but it is quite loose, but it has all full range of motion. Shoulders are those weird semi-universal ones, hinge at the torso, swivel at the actual arm, which gives me a weird range of articulation. Just always feels weird to manipulate. Bicep 360. Above the 90 degree, beyond the 90 for the elbow. Wrist rotation is there. You want a surprise? Hands open. Ha ha ha. How long has it been since you saw that on a retail level figure at this price point? Pretty good. Waist rotation works. Thighs work well, universally engineered, and I really like how that skirt folds into the pelvic section without having like any kind of flip up piece. That works really, really well. Thigh full rotation there, well beyond 90 degree knee, and then of course the ankle tilt as well. He is an exceptionally articulated figure. Does not have to be, but he is, which, I guess when you're a Generation 2 Transformer, you just function a little better than your peers from the past, right? I mean, that's where we started getting ball joints. So, he does have weaponry we can actually work with, like we said. He has that one gun we used as a sensor in the robot mode, in the vehicle mode rather. And then he has one translucent gun, which I guess counts as his sharing in the Energon gimmick of the line, which is just I don't know, it just seems like a catch term for we threw in a translucent weapon. Not that a translucent gun makes sense, but he actually does have one. And appropriately enough, it all looks very heavy machinery. And even the peg on the side, the 5mm socket, just looks like one big nut. And then on the other side, yeah, big heavy 90s comic book machine gun. It's a thing. In Generation 2, they were so into that 90s aesthetic for weaponry, heavy guns, heavy detail on these really gigantic machine guns, and that is actually part of the character. So if you don't have it, you're really not rocking a proper comic book Generation 2 aesthetic. Fortunately, Jhiaxus is, and it gives him plenty of weaponry on top of everything else he is capable of. So, aside from that joint suddenly being a little bit loose on me, didn't expect that. Alright, so I think just mine might be loose. I'm not going to have like a buyer beware on that one. But that, my friends, is Generation 2 Jhiaxus. It is an efficient figure, appropriately enough for the character. It is an exceptionally nice detailed one, very clean, simple transformation, but it means it's not going to get in your way at any point. And yeah, I really have nothing bad to say. It's exceptionally nice looking, more solid than toys have been lately, and an even higher level of articulation than usual. So, buy in confidence, he's one of the good ones. Ironically. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.